When most people hear the phrase, the blessing of Abraham, they usually picture tangible wealth, right? Like gold or land or just immense flocks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Huge material wealth.
Right. But we're looking at the April 13th edition of the Rhapsody of Realities devotional by Pastor Chris, and it basically shatters that whole expectation.
It really does. It takes that concept, specifically looking at Galatians 3, and completely redefines this idea of the ultimate blessing in a way that, frankly, attempts to reframe the entire practice of Christianity.
Which is a massive claim. So our mission today is just to unpack the logic of this source text impartially and map out exactly how it gets there. Where does it start?
Well, the text starts by explicitly stripping away any material definition of this inheritance. I mean, it argues that the true blessing of Abraham is categorically not diamonds, it's not gold, it's not real estate.
Okay, let's unpack that, because it's kind of like someone expecting a physical inheritance, like, I don't know, a giant vault of cash, but instead they get handed the CEO who actually generates all the wealth.
Yes, that's a great analogy. You bypass the physical product and you just receive the source.
Yeah.
And the text argues that the true blessing is, in fact, the Holy Spirit.
But not just as some, abstract concept, right?
No, exactly. The devotional is incredibly specific about this. It rejects the idea of the Spirit as a mystical force or some kind of lingering energy.
Right.
It defines the Spirit as a divine person, acting as the seal of inheritance, basically the literal, undeniable proof that someone belongs to God.
Okay, so here is where it gets really interesting to me. If this divine person is framed as a permanent resident inside a person, that completely upends the traditional religious model. I mean, your whole posture has to change.
Completely. Because, think about it, you're no longer reaching out to an external, distant deity for a transaction. You're shifting from seeking external favor to, recognizing an internal residence.
Right, but in traditional frameworks, so much of religious practice is built on asking an outside source for things. Give me power, give me strength, give me wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually very petition-based.
So, if the text argues that you shouldn't pray for power or strength anymore, isn't that contradicting how most people view prayer? I mean, prayer is almost universally understood as a list of requests.
It definitely sounds like a contradiction at first glance, but the author actually points to Ephesians 1 and Colossians 1 to answer that exact question.
Okay, so what's the logic there?
The logic is that the exact same power that raised Jesus from the dead is already permanently situated within the believer. So essentially asking for that power becomes completely redundant.
Oh, wow. Because you're essentially begging for something that's already sitting in your pocket.
Precisely.
The resource is there, you just, you aren't using it.
Right. So the massive shift here is moving from petition to acknowledgement. Mechanically speaking, instead of pleading, oh, please give me strength to get through this day.
Which implies you don't have it.
Exactly. You're in a state of deficit. But this text says the practice becomes yielding, actively recognizing the internal presence and declaring, I already possess the strength required.
It changes the psychological framework entirely. You move from deficit to a state of absolute provision.
Yeah, it really does. And that explains the concluding contrast in the devotional, actually. It argues that Christianity, without this internal recognition, is just religion.
Like a dry set of rules.
Right. Just dry rules and constantly seeking something outside yourself. But recognizing the Holy Spirit turns it into what they call a divine adventure.
Because you aren't trying to bridge a gap to a distant God anymore. It's framed as this active daily partnership with a resident power.
Yeah, a power that transforms you internally rather than just acting upon you externally.
That is a massive paradigm shift for how daily faith is applied. I mean, transitioning from expecting a physical inheritance to recognizing a divine presence.
It really is.
Well, for those of you looking to explore the mechanics of this text further, you can find more over at rhapsodyofrealities.org. But before we go, this whole concept kind of leaves you with a lingering question.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, we often spend our entire lives trying to accumulate tangible safety nets, right,
Yeah.
to make us feel secure.
Constantly seeking.
But if we follow the logic laid out here today,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder how much of human anxiety is simply a failure to recognize the resources we already carry within us.
Something to definitely mull over.
Indeed. Join us next time.
We trust you were blessed by this episode. To gain unlimited access to Rhapsody of Realities by Pastor Chris, please download the Rhapsody app using the link myapp.rhapsodyofrealities.org. God bless you.